Hey you guys, welcome to another episode of Date Night Cooking with DJ. And tonight we're going to be making ribeye, steak, red potatoes, and shrimp. And I'm just going to start off by prepping my potatoes. I'm going to add a little olive oil. And I'm also going to be adding some onion powder. And I have some garlic powder. Seasoning salt. And some parsley to garnish. And I'll be putting these in the oven at 375 for 1 hour. So you want to do this before you get started on anything else because they will take the longest to cook. And once again, that's at 375 for 1 hour. Next, I'm going to move on to my shrimp. And my shrimp, I have 6 shrimp. I bought them frozen and I've already took the shell off of them. And I will be seasoning them with basically the same thing that I use to season the potatoes, except for the parsley. I like to keep my ingredients to a minimum just to show my followers that it don't take a whole lot of ingredients to make a good meal. So I'm just going to be adding onion powder, garlic powder, seasoning salt, and salt and pepper to my shrimp. And once I get my shrimp seasoned, I'm going to set them to the side and start to work on my garlic butter that's going to be going on my steak. And now I'm just adding my seasoning salt to my shrimp. And this is going to be so good, like restaurant style. Okay, so I just added my seasoning salt to my shrimp. And my pepper. Get them on all of them. And my salt. Next, moving on to my garlic butter. And I did melt my butter down a little bit. This is a entire stick of butter, salted butter. And I'm just going to, you don't want to melt the entire stick, but I'm just going to slice up the part that isn't melted yet so I can get a thicker consistency. And what I'll be adding to my garlic butter is my onion powder, my garlic powder, and some minced garlic, and also some parsley. You can really use any type of greenery that you have just to liven up the look of your meal, and it also adds flavor as well. So I added my garlic powder, my onion powder, and my salt and pepper. And next I'll be adding my minced garlic and my parsley. It looks like I'm adding a lot of parsley, but it's not much once I get it stirred in. Okay, just stirring in my parsley. And next will be my minced garlic. And I didn't have much in this jar. Well, I had just enough to do this meal, so I'm going to be using the entire jar of minced garlic that I have left. I would say it's about a tablespoon. The spoon that I have is a small spoon. So I'm going to stir all of that in. And this is the garlic and the butter are very important. So that's where you're going to get a lot of your flavor from. So I would say, if nothing else, take time to make sure that you have a good mixture with your garlic butter. Okay, on to the steaks. I have two slicely thin ribeye steaks, and we do like our steaks well done. So you will see later on in the video that I will be cooking them well done. So I'm just adding onion powder to my steaks, garlic powder, um, and I don't rub my spices in. I just kind of pat them in because I find that when I rub them in that I get a lot of spices on my hand, and I don't want them on my hand. I want them on in the food. So I'm just adding my salt and pepper, and I also added seasoning salt. And I'm going to be adding those spices to both sides. And after I add the spices, I add a little bit of olive oil on top of the spices. I know some people like to do it before they put the spices um, onto the food, but I like to do it after because oil acts as a sealant. So I'm really sealing in those spices and those flavors. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, starting off with my seasoning salt. I started off with my garlic powder. Add that all over. Next, my onion powder. Seasoning salt. And salt and pepper. Okay, and next I'll be going in with my olive oil like I did on the other side to seal in those flavors and pat those flavors into the steak. And also what I like to do, this is a thin slice of ribeye, but I like to go in and make sure that I season in the sides of the steak, especially if you have a thicker steak. But like I said, this is a thinly sliced steak, but I always like to make sure that I season the sides. Just get into the habit of it. Um, so you'll always remember to do that when you're working with thicker cuts of steak. And I'll be cooking this meal in a cast iron skillet, and I my plan was to just use one skillet, but I realized that the skillet wasn't big enough to hold both the shrimp and the steak, so I ended up transferring the shrimp in a smaller cast iron skillet later in the video. So when you see that, that's what's going on. I just realized that I didn't have enough room in the large cast iron skillet. So I just transferred them over to the smaller skillet, and you want your shrimp to go about 3 minutes on each side on medium high heat. And you also want to leave your large skillet on medium high heat as well. So I put my garlic butter down into the skillet, and now I'm adding my steak. And you want to cook the steak for about 90 seconds on each side, and be sure to add your garlic butter, a lots of it. It's what's going to give you that flavor that you're looking for. So 90 seconds on one side, flip it over and do the other side. So my shrimp is looking ready, so that should be coming out pretty soon. But you're going to do 90 seconds on the opposite side. And I'm just going to take my spoon and get all of those flavors and juices onto my steak. Okay, so like I said, I'm using my spoon to get those flavors on my steak. I'm taking my shrimp out, so it's coming together. Going in with my second steak and doing the same thing. Adding the garlic butter on top, flipping it, doing 90 seconds on each side, and that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. This is restaurant style quality steak without a lot of ingredients, and yeah, delicious. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. To the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.